Well, good evening, or sorry, good afternoon. Um, this is Christina again. So, um, I'd love to see my kids on Mother's Day this year. It's 2018. I decided to write my niece again, which is my kid, because I raised her, so she's my daughter. I went to church this morning at the Calvary Church. And I really like that church a lot. I think that it's a really good church, and they offer a whole lot of things in that church. And it's a really good church to go to. So I left the church and I was going to go check on my job application, but excuse me, I just said that I would wait until tomorrow to check on it when I go into town because it is Sunday and we're supposed to rest on Sunday. Um, or at least that's how I feel. So I went uptown and I seen a yard sale sign, and it said that there was some items that you can buy, and then there was some items that were free. So I went to go try to find the road, which I couldn't find the road because I don't know Glenn County that good, and so I left. And I went down the back roads and I went over to my mother's. Because my mother lives on the same road as me, but down the street from me. And, I usually her screen door on the outside is locked, and then she has another screen door. It's like her house. There's let me use for example. Okay, so like, say this is her house, and then she has a porch. And on the porch, she has a screen door, and usually that screen door is locked. And then you walk in to her porch, and then she has um, another screen door, which also is her front door. And usually they're both locked, but today they weren't locked. And I had walked in there, I knocked on her door, and of course, she has like 10 dogs. All kinds of different dogs that my mom cares for that legally, I don't know how she even gets away with being that she has all them dogs, which is none of my business. But I heard her husband, and he got up from his chair. He's the one that opened the door, and when he opened the door, he was already eating bacon and eggs. And so I had asked him, because I knocked on the door, if mom was there, and he said, yeah, but in an attitude form, because he don't care for me. And then my mom, before she got to the door, because he shut the door on me while I was standing there, before she got to the door, I heard her say, there's Nikolai, or she said Nikolai or something like that. I can't remember what she said, but she said my son's name. And of course, they all kept quiet, which I understand because they're still in the system. But I came home calmly because I actually went to go ask her if she would take me to a yard sale, but she refused to take me to the yard sale. She said that she already been there and that it was over by the Catholic Church and blah, 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 blah. It doesn't really matter. This is, I shouldn't be talking about all of this. It's really nobody's business, but it hurts my feelings and it offends me because my child was inside my mom's house, and she could have at least allowed me to give my son a hug. There was supervision there. Her and her husband was there, and it wasn't like I was going to do anything wrong. And I handed my kids over because of the abuse that my kids did to me. Okay, and because I had a mental breakdown behind Cody and my ex-husband Jesse, which is that man up there, right there. I don't have a picture of Cody because I threw the pictures away of him, but he is on Facebook, which it doesn't matter about that either. I can care less about a man right now. My focus is to get my kids back, but my mom, she liked to yell at me because I called her and asked her why I couldn't, see my kids, and she said, well, they just got picked up 20 minutes ago, and I was like, Mom, I was at your house like 20 minutes ago, so how can my kids have gotten picked up at the same time that I was there? And then she's like, no, they got picked up 30 minutes ago, about 8 minutes before, or something like that. But yet she said his name, so I was like, okay. It got us into a little argument, and I was like, well, I want to see my kids for Mother's Day, because Mother's Day is coming up on this Monday, or I mean, not Monday, but Sunday. And I told her that I already texted Elizabeth and tried calling her phone again, which I'm allowed to call the phone and I'm allowed to communicate with my kids, but for some odd reason she ignores me and doesn't allow me to communicate with my children, which is okay. But anyways, I just told my mom on the phone that I wanted to see my children, and for Mother's Day, and I said it's a public place. I don't see why she can't bring my kids to the church here in Willows, which is a different town than she's in, but still, it's a public place and there's tons of people. I've never been a harm to my kids like everybody keeps putting out when, yes, I did spank my kids, but I'm sure that you've spanked your kids too. They deserve to have discipline. It's just the extent of what type of discipline that you give your child. So anyways, I just wanted to read this because I feel very offended by my own mother at times and my other family, because I feel that they're more for Elizabeth than they are for me. But she says, oh, well, I'm trying to, I would just want you to get your shit together. No, I don't think so. I think that you guys want to take my kids away. And I think you guys are doing everything in your power to try to take my kids away and manipulate my kids, because they're so young and they're easy to be manipulated. But we all reap what we sow. And just like me, I'm reaping what I sow right now. So anyways, blessings and woes. This is in Luke 6. And this is verse 17. He went down with them and stood on a level place. A large crowd of his disciples was there, and a great number of people from all over Judea, from Jerusalem and from the coast of the Tyre and Sidon, who had come to hear him and to be healed of their diseases. Those troubled by evil spirits were cured, and the people all tried to touch him, because power was coming from him and healing them all. Looking at his disciples, he said, blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you who hunger now, for you will be satisfied. Blessed are you who weep now, for you will laugh. Blessed are you when men hate you, when they exclude you and insult you and reject your name as evil because the Son of Man. Rejoice in that day and leap for joy, because great is your reward in heaven, for that is how their fathers treated the prophets. But woe to you who are rich, for you have already received your comfort. Woe to you who are well fed now, for you will go hungry. Woe to you who laugh now, for you will mourn and weep. Woe to you when all men speak well of you, for that is how the fathers treated the false prophets. Love for your enemies. But I tell you, you who hear me, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. If someone strikes you on one cheek, and turn to him the other also. If someone takes your cloak, do not stop him from taking your tunic. Give to everyone who asks you, and if anyone takes what belongs to you, do not demand it back. Do to others as you would have done or have them do to you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who are good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do that. And if you lead to those from whom you expect repayment, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lead to sinners, expecting to be repaid in full. But love your enemies, do good to them, and lend to them without expecting to get anything back. Then your reward will be great, and you will be sons of Most High, because He is kind to the ungrateful and wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Judging others. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. He also told them this parable. Can a blind man lead a blind man? Will they not both fall into a pit? A student is not above his teacher, but everyone who is fully trained will be like his teacher. Why do you look to the speck of your sawdust in your brother's eyes and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, Brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when you yourself fail to see the plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. So that's out of Luke, chapter 6, verses 17 through 49. That's all I have to say. I know that this is judging, but this is also a form of me being able to relieve my anxiety and allow my children to see me over YouTube. Because my kids have YouTube, and this is one place that my kids do go on. So I just thought I'd say that. This is out of Our Daily Bread. Standing on the promises. My friend's brother, when they were both children, measured his sister an umbrella, had enough left to hold her up if she would only believe. So by faith she jumped off a barn roof and knocked herself out, suffering a minor concussion. What God has promised, He will do, but we must be sure we stand on God's actual word when we claim a promise, or claim a promise, for only then do we have the assurance that God will do or give what He promised. Faith has no power in itself. It only counts when it's based on a clear and ambiguous promise from God. Anything else is just wishful thinking. Here's a case in point. God has promised, asked whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit. These verses are not a promise that God will answer every prayer we utter, but rather a promise that He will respond to every longing for personal righteousness, with what Paul calls the fruit of the Spirit. If we hunger and thirst for holiness and ask God for it, He will begin to satisfy us. It will take time, for spiritual growth, like human growth, is gradual. Don't give up. Keep asking God to make you holy. In His time and in His pace, it will be done for you. God doesn't make promises He doesn't keep. That's by David H. Roper. Dear Lord, thank you for your many promises to us in your word, and thank you for sending your Holy Spirit, who gives discernment. We have a promise-keeping God. Today's reading was out of John 15, verse 5 through 8. Ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. John 15:7. That's out of Our Daily Bread. Anyways, I love you, Nikolai. I love you, Nevaeh. I pray that God watches over you, and I pray for the best for all of us. Lord, and I ask you to just please protect my children and protect my children's minds from the enemy, and allow my children to have an open mind at the same time. And I just pray that my children understand their mother too, and understand what their mom has gone through, and they're so young. They're only 11 and 13 years old, so it's easy to still manipulate my children, and I don't like that, because I am their mom, and I belong there in their lives. I drew this for my kids last night. That's a horse. It's not the greatest artwork, but... And this I drew for my son. I'm supposed to see them tomorrow here in at Sycamore Park in Willows, so I'm praying that I get to see him. I am supposed to see him between 2 and 3 tomorrow. I'm looking forward to my visitation. I'm going to call my social worker in the morning and make sure that we're still good to have a visitation tomorrow and go from there. I love you, my children, and I will talk to you later.